Hello and welcome to this 17th session, and in this session we are now going to work on the feedbacks or the testimonials section. If you scroll down, this testimonial section is what we are going to design in this session. So for this I will come back to the code, and here the server is already running and you have the preview page over here. So we have completed our projects work section and we are now going to move into the feedback section. So for this I will close all other files, and in app.jsx I will control click on this feedback section, and this is going to open the feedback section. So just like every time, we are going to start by importing some of the component needed here. So the component we need, the first component we are going to use is import in flower brackets. We are going to call for this motion components, which is coming from frame of motion. Then we are going to import, and in flower bracket this time, styles, and styles is coming from this root styles file. And then we are going to import in flower bracket the section wrapper that we had designed around 3 classes before, and this is coming from HOC, high order components folder. And then we are going to import some components like in flower bracket the fade in, and this fade in is coming from utils motion. Come along with fade in, we are also going to import this text variant. And finally, after all this, the last thing we need is the actual content that we have to enter in the testimonial, and this is coming from import and in flower bracket from the testimonials section, which is present inside the constant. So here if you come to constant index.js, and here you can see a section called testimonials, and testimonial section has component or object testimonial, and we have given it a value, name, who is giving the testimonial, designation, company, and also an image. Now coming into this, inside the return, I am going to select the existing div. I am going to delete it off, and this time instead of an empty block or component, we are going to start with the div only. And this div that we have created, let us give it some class name to define it. The class names that we are going to give it is, we are going to set margin top 12, and then we are going to set its background color to black 100, and then we are going to set its rounded property equal to, in square bracket, 20 pixel, and close the flower bracket. Now inside this we are now going to create one more div, and for this div we are now going to again call some class name, and the class name we are going to call is, all these classes will be placed in a flower bracket. Add a tilde key because this is a code block. I will add $, and in open close flower bracket we are going to call styles period padding. So I am going to next call bg tertiary current color, and then we are going to set its rounded value, and this rounded value will be equal to 2xl. And after this we are going to set this a minimum height, min h, and in square bracket we are going to enter 300 pixel and close the square bracket. Now again, just like in other components, we have added this work executed by me project. This part will be the same here. So for this, what I will do is, I will come to any of the component here. I will come to experience.jsx, and I am going to select this entire motion div which we had previously created. I am going to copy this, come back to feedbacks, and inside this div, whatever div we have created here, I will use view word wrap so that it appears correctly, and inside this I am going to paste it. And only thing is, instead of my technical journey so far, here we are going to type what others say, and then here instead of work experience we type testimonials, period. And after this motion.div and this div, and below that I am going to create one more div. And now this div I am going to give certain class name. The class name I am going to give it is, this class name will be dynamic, and inside this I am going to add the tilde key, and using the tilde key then I am going to call dollar, and in open close flower bracket I will call styles, and I am this time going to give only padding X, that is only horizontal padding will be added to it. And after this I am now going to come out of this, and next here I am going to next set a minus margin top, and it will be set to 20. Why we are setting it minus I am going to tell you later. As we do it you can see it. Then I am going to set padding bottom which is equal to 14, then flex, then I am going to call flex wrap, and I am going to add a gap of 7. Now inside this div now I am now going to add a flower bracket, and I am going to call the testimonials, and that is the testimonials we have imported from the constant, and I am going to map it so that every testimonial is taken, and in open close regular bracket I will add one more open close regular bracket to add parameters. The parameters we add is testimonial, comma, and another parameter is going to be the index, and then I will come out of this, I will add an equals and greater than sign, and again I will add one more regular bracket, and inside this now we are going to call our feedback card. F and C I will keep it capital, and then I will add a forward slash, and I am going to close this. Now this feedback card we are yet to define it, but I am going to add it some parameter. The first parameter I am going to add it here is the key will be equal to, in open close flower bracket this will be equal to testimonial dot name, because this will be unique. And after this I am going to press enter, and the next key that we are going to take is index is equal to, in flower bracket this will be equal to the index, and the third one below this we are going to add flower bracket, add 3 dots, and I am going to call testimonial. That is, all other properties of testimonial will be spreaded over here. So now we are going to get the error and the site breaks because we have not yet defined the feedback card. So now I will move to the top, and below this import now I am going to define this feedback card, const feedback card, and this will be equal to, this is a function, and for this function I am now going to actually call this function, and this function is, I will add equals greater than sign, and this is going to return the content, and inside this feedback I am now going to add flower bracket, and we are going to call, so if you come to this constant index.js, if you come to testimonials, we have 5 properties here: testimonial, name, designation, company, and image. So copy this or carefully type the same spellings here. So I am going to, I will first call the index, then comma, I am going to call the testimonial, comma, then I am going to call the name, then I am going to call the designation, then I am going to call the company name, that is company, and then finally the image. So, and now inside this we are now going to call the motion dot div, and I will close this, and inside this motion div, for example, I will call a p tag, and I am now going to call the testimonial. So, when I call this testimonial here, I will end it with flower bracket, and then if I save it, you are getting some error, and the error I am getting is because, see, if you come down here in testimonial map, I have done a spelling mistake. Instead of index, I have typed index. So, I am getting this error. I will change it back to index now, because this and this should be the same spelling. So, now if I save it, and if I refresh it, and if I reload it, now the page is loading, and if I scroll down, and in the testimonial, automatically you are seeing the 3 testimonials that are present. Now, here for this motion div, we are now going to add certain variants, and I am going to come inside this motion div component, and I am going to add variants, and the variant I am going to add now fade in. This we have already used it in the last class. I will add open close regular bracket, and the first is from where it should fade, and leave it blank so that it fades in, then comma, and the type of animation will be spring, comma, then I am going to, for even now for the delay, I will call index, and I am going to multiply it by 0.5 so that the testimonials appear one after another, and for each I am going to set a duration of 0.75. I am also going to add this some class name, and the class we are going to use here is, we are going to set its background color BG, we are going to set it to black, and I am going to set it to black 200. Then I am going to next set its padding to 10. Then I am going to set its rounded to equal to 3XL. Then I am going to set on small devices XS, its width will be equal to, in square bracket, 320 pixel, and I will close the flower bracket, and in regular devices width will be full. And adding this, if I now save it, automatically you can see every testimonial is now wrapped in a card like this. Now, for every testimonial, I want to add a big inverted comma. So, for this what I will do is, see, above this p tag, I am going to call one more p tag, and inside this p tag I will add this inverted comma, and for this p, the class name we are going to allot is, we are going to set its text color to white. I will set it to white. Then I am going to set its font type to black, and then I am going to set the text size hyphen, and in square bracket I will set it to around 48 pixel, and I will close the flower bracket. And if I now save it, see, you see this big inverted comma appearing over here. And now one thing I want to do here is, below this inverted comma, I am going to now create a div, and for this div I am now going to just add a top margin. So, I will call a class name, and I am going to set its margin top to 1, and I am going to select this p tag complete. I am going to cut it, and I am going to put it inside this. Okay. Now, below this I am now going to, I will save it, and then below this I am now going to add one more div for the rest of the content. Now, for this div I am now going to give it a class name, and the class name I am going to define here is margin top empty 7, then I will make it flex, then I will call it justify between, and I am going to set items center, and I am going to set its gap equal to 1. Now, inside this now I am going to create one more div, and for this div, the class I will press enter and bring it down, and for this div again I am going to call the class name. The class name I am going to call now is flex dash 1, then flex, then flex dot hyphen column, and then inside this div now I am going to call the p tag, and for this p tag I am going to then call the span. Inside this span I will just add an at sign, and outside this span I am going to put flower bracket and I am going to render the name. And if I save it, so you can see the name of the person who has given the testimonial appearing here. Then after this, below this I am going to add one more p tag, and inside this p tag I am now going to call the designation, and after this I am going to type off, and again I am going to call the company. And now if I save this, so you can see the name is appearing and below that designation of which company. Now let us style these contents a little bit. We are going to start with the actual testimonial. So if you come over here, the testimonial is here. Inside this p tag I am going to call the class name. The first class name I am going to call here is the text. I am going to set it to white, then I am going to set its tracking wider, and then I am going to set its text size in square bracket 18 pixel, and I will close it. And if I save it, so immediately you can see. And now below here for the name, here in the p tag I am going to again call a class name, where I am going to text the text color to white, and I am going to set the font to medium, and then I am going to set the text size in square bracket to around 16 pixel and close the square bracket. And to make this art appear a little different, in the span for this art I am going to call a class name, and I am going to give it the class blue dot text dot gradient. I am going to call this class, and then I am going to save it. See, this appears fine now. Required, I will also add a space here and save it. So there is a small space here. And finally, for this designation of company, for this part in p tag I am going to now call the class name, and for this I am going to set the margin top 1, then text I am going to select the secondary color, and then I am going to set its text size equal to in square bracket 12 pixel, and I will close it. And now if I save it, see, this appears like this. Below this, after this p tag and this div tag, I am now going to press enter, and I am going to now insert the image using this image tag. I will add forward slash and I will close it, and inside this image tag we are now going to set its source. src will be equal to in flower bracket image, and then the next thing is for the alt tag I will press enter here. I will come to next line, and for the alt tag I am going to add a in flower bracket I will add this tilde key because this is a code block, and I am going to type feedback hyphen by hyphen, then I will add dollar, and in open close flower bracket I am going to call the name. And after this we are also going to give this image certain class name, and the class name that we are going to give it is, we are going to set its width to 10, then height to 10, and then we are going to make it rounded full. And after we, and finally also object cover. So after we have added this, now if I save this, you can immediately see their photographs appearing over here. Now this part is done, and now if I actually refresh this and if I drag and see this, see one thing you can observe is, see this testimonial part is not aligned with the other contents of the screen. See, it is coming totally to the left. And why is this happening? Because after we have done everything, when it comes to export default, we have not added the section wrapper. So here I am now going to call this section wrapper, and inside the bracket I am now going to call this feedbacks, and this feedbacks comma and inverted comma I will leave the ID name as it is. I will close it, and if I now save it and if I refresh it now you can see that this block is in align with the other sections here. See, this is appearing fine. Okay, so we are now done with the testimonial section, and in the next section we are going to work on the contacts section.